Hey there, Pokemon trainers. We're back. I'm Ash,
I'm Nick.
and we are here with the Pokemon Rundown, bringing you all sorts of news from well, we're going from the past week, but it's been a few months since we've recorded last.
Yep, we are once again back, whether you like it or not. Anyways, moving on to our first lovely little news topic. Last week was Pokemon Day. It featured a whole bunch of previously unused promos, dice sets. We received 3 different Pokemon Center statues, which were raffled off to some players, as well as it was, I believe, a Lost Origin Elite Trainer box direct from Pokemon Center.
It was the Pokemon Center exclusive one.
That one was given to a parent for having to deal with their children.
That's a mean way of putting it. But yeah, we decided to give back to the parents a little bit that have, every week have brought their kids in and have just sat down and just stayed there. So we thought it would be best to give it to somebody like that.
Yep.
And one of the wonderful parents did, and I think she was kind of over the moon.
Yep. It's always nice seeing the parents bringing their kids out and supporting them in their hobbies every week.
And of course, with Pokemon Day brought, 2 big things in news. Of course, there were a lot of teasers as a whole. We got teasers for, EX, new stuff for Unite, Go stuff, of course. And then, of course, the 2 big ones, which is Pokemon TCG Pocket, as well as Legends Z to A, which I'm super hyped about. I more or less screamed as soon as I found out about it. And Megas are back, so it's just, it's a win all around for that one.
Yep. On the note, do you want to talk a little bit about Pokemon Pocket? Because I know that you researched it a lot more in depth than I did.
Yeah, so at first I'm kind of hesitant. I was hesitant, and I'm still just kind of wary of it, I suppose. It's, from my understanding, they're more or less taking, the base gameplay and just toning it down a lot so you can do matches in just a few minutes, Duel Links from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or other such games. Marvel Snap, I think, was another good example. But it seems like it'll be interesting. I'm going to hold all negative judgments until we can see more of it. We've only seen, the briefest glimpse. I think it's cool we'll be able to see new versions of old cards, or even sometimes see cards or arts that we haven't seen before.
Yep. I do know that one of the things they showcased as part of it is there's now kind of a dynamic 3D artwork to a lot of the fan favorites. I believe they used a Pikachu to showcase it.
Yep. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's I can see the appeal, but at the same time, being somebody that just enjoys collecting in paper, it almost seems silly to collect online because you can't exactly just be like, hey, look at this my cool binder of all these things. So, I don't know. I'm going to wait until we see more about it.
Withholding further, got it. All right. Next up on our little docket of news, we have the Pokemon Company International sending out a very sternly worded email reminding leagues not to sell their promotional materials.
We didn't think that people would need to be told this, but we do. And so now they have put down guidelines specifically stating when you can sell these and how long you have to wait. And Nick will go ahead and read through some of those.
Yeah, so for the Play Pokemon prize packs, which we are now, I believe, on Series 4.
Series 4.
These are not for sale. Previous series should be used as directed by the Pokemon program. Old League Stamp promos prior to the prize packs, they are completely eligible for sale. They don't have the League Stamp. You can sell them. The League Stamp promos that are from the prize packs are 3 years from the starting date, starting with, I believe, 2025.
Okay.
Is the first date you're to be eligible to sell those, and those are the Series 1, 2, and 3s. The pre-release staff promos, same thing again, only 3 years from the printed copyright date, so the earliest I would be allowed to sell my staff promos is 3 years. The League prizing playmats, you have to wait 2 years from their printed copyright year, so I believe the earliest that's going to allow would be 2024, is the oldest playmats we've seen so far for the League Championships.
I think so, yeah.
And then finally, the marketing materials, these are not for sale. The Pokemon Company has been very clear in the past that you cannot sell any of the marketing material, but they are once again putting it out there in simple English, do not sell the marketing materials. And then finally, non-League Championship Series items, there's no embargo on these, they can be bought and sold as soon as they're in your store. Again, it's very straightforward, easy to understand, but unfortunately they did have to step up and say, hey, please remember these guidelines do not sell your League materials.
I just love how you're like, I can't sell my staff promos. I mean, they are yours, of course. It's just, it was a funny way to phrase it, I suppose.
And now if I can quickly find the lovely little... yes. Well, I'm looking for my personal note. There's the Van Gogh Pikachu. We've reported this one in the past.
Yeah, this has been... I don't want to necessarily say a disaster, but it's been bad. There's been a lot of, unfortunately, just a lot of mishandlings on all sides of this for the gray felt hat Pikachu. But a Pokemon Company has stepped up. They've been giving out dozens and dozens of these to stores to like help alleviate and prevent some of the scalpers, to where we're actually seeing it below 100 at this point.
Yes.
Which is honestly incredible.
I do like that Pokemon Company has taken the stance of we're just going to keep printing this until it matches the demand. Like, one wave wasn't enough, we make a wave 2. If wave 2 wasn't enough, we make wave 3. You will get a Pikachu with felt hat, we promise.
Can we get another wave of Evolving Skies, please?
No.
Please?
There you go. And then here's our last little news story to finish this out for the day. This is the one I was looking for because this does amuse me greatly. In collaboration with Pokemon Day last week, eBay also published their Pokemon TCG stats for 2023.
Guess what the Pokemon are? I bet you can't guess.
Amongst some of the stats released were, in 2023, eBay users searched for Pokemon items more than 400 times a minute. The most searched Pokemon card was Charizard, followed by Pikachu and Mew. The top 3 most expensive Pokemon cards sold on eBay were PSA 10 Gem Mint Charizard Base Set 1 Edition Shadowless for $217,500. 1999 Pokemon CGC 8 Near Mint Charizard Disco Hollow Test Print Shadowless Base Set 4 for $125,000. And the 1999 Pokemon CGC 5 EX Charizard Disco Hollow Test Partial Print Shadowless Base for $100,000.
That's certainly a mouthful for those the 2 and 3 at the very least.
Yep. And then in October 2023, the month after they announced the partnership with the Van Gogh Museum, global eBay users searched Pikachu Van Gogh nearly 40,000 times per day on average.
I'm not surprised about that one.
Well, there's some fun little tidbits. I was not expecting some of these.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was expecting Charizards.
Yeah.
We're always expecting Charizards at this point.
And now, just to kind of finish out the episode, because this weekend is the pre-release for
Temporal Forces.
So, we're obviously going to be, well, not playing it as we have to run it, but we will be there at least at Fantasy Games pre-release. We're hoping that we'll see you as well. And we're going to finish it out with a handful of cards that we personally are looking forward to out of the set, either for our own decks or just to kind of mix up the meta a little bit.
But of course, we can't start that list without talking about the promos, because we always have the 4 promos that you can have a chance of getting. And the ones this time around are Miraidon, Koraidon, Feraligatr, and Metang. All of which are not awful. I'm not terribly fond of the dragons, but Feraligatr is ridiculous, and Metang is also just incredibly useful when it comes to metal decks. But yeah.
Yep. So, my top 5 for Temporal Forces is Mist Energy, because I greatly dislike Roaring Moon. Salvatore, I have high hopes for him. We have Morty's Conviction, because I like drawing cards. Handshaver, because I enjoy Snorlax Stall more than I'd like to admit. And finally, Cryptomaniac Celebrating, because I've been building a Tinkaton EX list, and I've got hope it will work in that deck.
I was gonna say, you might give a brief explanation as to why you're picking these.
Mist Energy simply says prevent all effects dealt to the Pokemon. Roaring Moon specifically having the auto knockout attack. Being able to prevent that feels kind of nice. Salvatore, if I'm remembering his text correctly, is search your library for one Pokemon that evolves from one of your current Pokemon in play, put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Just little, not rare candy, but just a quick get an evolution out of your deck, speed up without having to naturally draw into it, because I like my evolutions. Morty's Conviction, if I am remembering correctly, is discard a card, draw a card for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It's just Zinnia, but you discard one less card and you draw one less card, potentially. Handshaver discards both, is an item that discards both players down to 5 cards in hand. Snorlax Stall really likes hand attack.
I want to use this against Tinkaton.
You don't you say that.
Yes, I will say that.
And then finally, Cryptomaniac Celebrating is search your library for up to 2 cards, shuffle your library, then put them on top. Again, I'm playing a deck that, like, Mew, Tinkaton. I draw a lot of cards, so being able to just manipulate the top of my deck so I always can guarantee what I'm drawing, very good.
And for me, my first one is, of course, Buddy Buddy Poffin. I know a lot of us have been talking about it since it was first teased. I've been playing this arena deck, so this is insanely helpful for me, especially with VIP rotating out here soon. Like, this just allows me to start filling up my bench quicker, and I don't have to worry about it being the first turn.
Yes.
For the next one for me, it was, I know I had Feraligatr on the list just because, again, he is a menace. You put 5 damage counters on him and he does, I want to say, 120 more damage, which tops off at, what, I almost want to say 280, but I could be wrong on that damage.
I believe his attack is double water 160 if he uses ability 280, yeah.
And, yeah, obviously, he's probably going to become a menace when it comes to the water DLC.
Yes.
You're guaranteed a one-shot off of that. It'll be interesting to see how he changes things. Another one that I was actually... one that was brought to my attention that I didn't look at before, Great Tusk. I have recently learned that Mill is starting to become pretty prevalent outside of just a Snorlax Stall, whereas there is a Great Tusk deck going around where Great Tusk's attack just says, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If you used a Ancient Supporter, you discard 3 more. So you're effectively each turn you're discarding 4 from your opponent's deck. And if they researched or anything, they're going to be hurt real quick.
One of my favorite cards to see when I play Snorlax Stall is Professor's Research.
One of the other ones I was looking at, mostly for the GLC side of things, was Perilous Jungle. This is actually perfect for my GLC, which is all about poisoning, and it just says it does 2 additional counters on Poison Checkup. So,
Except for Dark types.
Except for Dark types, yes. I like it. I need it a lot. And then lastly is mostly just a silly one, but one that I'm definitely curious to see if it will see any play is Riombi. It has an attack that says if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out in the turn after this, you gain 2 more prizes, which is I'm used to seeing it the same turn. If you knock out a Pokemon this turn, you take X more prizes, whereas this is saying next turn, which makes it interesting. And it also makes it, if from my understanding, you have to do this, you have to have your opponent switch. If they don't, then
Yep. Yeah, it puts an effect on the defending Pokemon that if they are not able to get it out, you take 2 additional prizes.
which, yeah, that can very easily turn a match.
I'm waiting. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'm eagerly awaiting the day that I see something like Riombi into Iron Hands.
Honestly, yeah. That would actually be pretty fun to see.
Well, yes, I will take a minimum of 4 prizes.
Oh, it's a shame that, what is it? Yoga Loop for Metacham V is rotating out, because Yoga Loop also did the same thing. Or you could also go the Dialga route, which just says take another turn.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it.
But I do believe that now concludes us for today's episode.
For today, at least. We'll be back. We're always back. And as always, I'm Ash.
I'm Nick.
And we will catch you next time.